Yeah, so man, appreciate you coming out. Definitely, gracing us with your presence, man. World renowned. IMAKEMADBEATS. Yes, sir.
It's funny. I mean, you can say that all day, bro, but as soon as I see you,
yeah,
I'm back on Toby Lane. It ain't even nothing more than that, straight up.
Yeah. Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah. So definitely, let the people know what neighborhood you grew up in.
Yeah. So I grew up mostly in Orange Mound. So my grandma lived literally at the entrance to Orange Mound, which is Toby Lake, that whole area. But we actually lived in Orange Mound, and so we would visit my grandma regularly. But we would go back home to the mound for sure. But I spent so much time at my grandma's house that
it was really second home.
It was definitely second home.
Yeah.
Definitely second home, man. And of course, that's where I know you.
Yeah.
Staying on Toby Lane.
Definitely, man. Y'all had some epic fireworks shows. Man.
Oh, legendary.
Legendary.
Yeah. You know, man, we taking this, right?
Yeah.
We need to make sure, because people be acting like, man, come on, man, we kind of owned the block when it came to the 4th of July situation, the fireworks, the way the family would convene and form Voltron. Come on, man.
Shut it down. Like, we'll pass up on going downtown. Just make sure we right there in the cold, man. It was real legendary, real, like, even before it got popular, you know how everybody do it now.
Yeah.
Like you can count on them putting on like an A1 show, man. Like,
wow.
Yeah, for real. And like everybody come out, it was just, man, it was real vibe, you know, good family atmosphere, man. You know, them good old days for sure.
That was when, like,
neighborhoods.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
That I was about to say, that was when, like, you were dated from a few houses down.
Right.
But neighborhoods were closer to families. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, old neighborhoods, like between you and Chris and, all the other people, JR, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Between, like, it was just, it wasn't, you guys weren't just random people.
No.
It was just people who lived on the block. Like, there was something bigger than
Right. It was family for sure. Yeah. Definitely, man. So what do you think we lost that? How did we lose that? Our time to today's time. How do you think the ball was dropped?
I think you can't have this discussion without bringing up how much the idea of ownership has changed, right? And so what comes with ownership culture, right? And how, very important word that I think doesn't hold as much value as maybe it should. And definitely, when my grandparents bought that house in Toby Lane and the rest of the cove, there was just a pride of ownership. I remember my grandma, she used to sweep off the porch every day, and there was nothing on that porch. But it was just like she wanted to let the neighborhood know, hey, I'll be cleaning up my stuff, Dad.
This is mine. I'll take care of it.
I think that is that's definitely deeply involved in like I said, the culture of ownership, which is maintenance, responsibility, accountability, sustainability. That's the culture of ownership. And so when you see those things missing, you go back to the root of, like, okay, well, what is the culture of ownership, or is there enough ownership? Is ownership, is the rate of ownership down? It is, I think that's what we're starting.
So would you say that's kind of like where I would say our people maybe, the word that I think of ownership would be is value.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think, do you think that people's values have changed because of the lack of ownership?
Man, I don't know if it's because of lack of ownership. I think You know, it's funny, man. Like I'm on the dark side of my 30s now. You know what I'm saying? It's
Sound like you're the good life now.
Yeah, hey, I made it here. I'm celebrating. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you know, I was telling my wife this. The time my mom was visiting my mom, I was telling her like, you know, specifically the OG millennials like me. You know what I'm saying? Like we had a very interesting life. You know, I think it literally, I was 18. The next year, 9/11 happened. You know.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
so as soon as I became an adult, the world ended, and then 8 years later, the world ended again. Like, you know, and it didn't really set us up to believe in long-term anything. The housing market crisis multiple times, and here we are a few years later again, pandemic.
Yeah.
You know, and then in between that, you have the rising of Donald Trump. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, it's funny. And I was telling my mom that, she was like, "Wow, James, I never thought about it like that." And then she was like, "Because we had the 70s and the 80s, and there was and the 90s. They had some good years. They had 30 years.
30 years
We was just chilling and building.
Yeah.
I can't even go 6 years without the world." And so, you know, it makes you rethink, like, you know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know, I think that, like you said, you more OG millennial, but the younger millennial age group, I think they have like a rent-a-car mentality.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you drive your car one way, but then you get in that rent-a-car. You know, you disregard stoplight.
That's real. You out there,
You know, worried about hitting the curb. You know? So that when you said ownership, that's what clicked in my mind. So that's like a perfect analogy. You know, really thinking about that. I'm like, man, you know, and so you know, we are at that point. And so, how would you seeing different places, being able to travel through your craft, your gift?
Yeah.
How would you describe Memphis? Like, if you had to put one word into it.
Yeah. So, I think the word would be a combination of two words, which is undervalued.
Wow.
And I say that internally and externally. I mean, I'm not just saying that somebody in New York undervalues Memphis. I mean, somebody right down the street undervalues Memphis.
Right.
I think in every sense of the word, undervalued. And I think we're breaking through that though. I think when I think about, when I was 18, I graduated from White Station. I think like a week later I was gone. I didn't even stay for the summer, fam. I was like, I'm not, yeah, man, I left out of here because I wanted opportunities to support my creative ideas, and I didn't really see them here, And yes, we still have a long ways to go. But man, this city is definitely closer and further than then. And if what me and my generation has planned succeeds, we'll be good. So I think we'll begin to be valued.
Definitely. So we talk about the So Memphis. That's the podcast name. A lot of times we talk about the Memphis mindset and how that is able to allow you to not only survive Memphis, which is attached to this, but to be able to be successful in other areas. So how have you seen that played out, like even in your own life?
Man, successful. That's the word. This is key in on that word, right? Because what is and isn't successful is how you answer the question. I think for me, man, again, coming out the mouth, man, like, all I wanted was an apartment and a Honda, fam. That was it. I mean, seriously, that was my goal. Can I get this apartment, me? Honda, let's go. That was it, you know what I'm saying? But, traveling, I lived in New York for 7 years, man. That changes everything, that changes what you think is possible. It changes the kinds of people you meet and the kinds of cultures you're around. And I think coming back here, and then you take all of that and then you bring it back to the streets, it forced you. And when I think about success in Memphis, you know, I'll be honest. When I first came back here, I was working. I was a network administrator.
Okay.
It was funny. It was tragically depressing because I was literally coming back from being a producer engineer at one of the most legendary studios in the world, Quad Studios.
Wow.
Right in Times Square. So it wasn't on no east or west side and none of that stuff. It was literally like the big Coca-Cola thing and then me right there working. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I worked there for years, man. And you know, my dad, he hit me up one day and said he was having issues with his heart.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you know, my dad.
Right.
You know,
Just drop everything and roll.
That's my, you know, that's single father raised us, you know what I'm saying? So, so I had to come back to Memphis, man. And, you know, while on one end I was happy to be with my dad, on the other end, man, I had prepared my whole life to succeed in the music industry.
Right.
And I just left it.
Mm-hmm.
The whole music industry was in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, you get off the train and you trip over and it's like, oh man, it's John Mayer. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been to John Mayer's house. He gave me a coat. It was very interesting. And things just happen in New York. You know what I'm saying? And then, you know, just losing all of that was depressing, man. And, you know, I got a job here as an IT guy, and I just remember being depressed. Like, I'm like a computer guy. Like, I sit at this desk and like, I'm like, you know, people call, my printer's not working. It was like, but it was good money. You know, it was decent money, especially for Memphis. And I just one day I went to go talk to my aunt, and shout out my aunt Jean. She called me this morning. I gotta call her back. I went to go see my aunt Jean, and she I said, you know, hey, I'm in this crossroads where it's like I'm feeling like I want to take another stab at the music industry, but from here. You know, now I was like, I don't know how I would do that. Because this place just doesn't have the infrastructure that Manhattan has. Right. Or New York has, you know, or the Northeast has. But there was just something in me that was just like, yo, I think I can figure this out. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what it is. I was starting to feel daring. You know? But, you know, but at the same time, I know me. I'm an extreme guy. If I'm gonna do something, I'm jumping off the bridge. I'm not like, I'm not like, you know, this part of the day, and nah, man, I need to be in it. Like, I need to bury my hands in it, you know? And so.
Is that like a Toby Lane thing?
It might be, you know what I'm saying? I don't Toby Lane all day. It might be, you know what I'm saying? Who knows? I need to go there and, you know what? I'm gonna go there and figure it out. Go there and do this on the ground and be like,
Big risk people, you know.
Absolutely.
Does this sound familiar what you were saying?
I gotta hear more. I love to hear stuff like that. I'm all about the big risk. You know? But yeah, man, I knew I had to be all the way in it, so I knew that meant quitting this quote unquote good job that was relatively easy. And I went to go talk to my aunt about that, and she said, James, you know, your great grandfather, Buddy Dukes, he ran a contractor company. And his contracting company paved a lot of the streets out in White Station. I didn't know that.
Wow.
You know, I didn't know that. And I was like, really? And she said, yeah, you know. And then she said, and your grandfather had Duke's Grocery, right on the northern edge of Orange Mound. Yeah. It was Duke's Grocery up there. You know, he ran that in the 80s. You know, and so she said, you know, so entrepreneurialism is in your blood. She was like, if you want to do it, you can figure it out. And that was the most that was like the oracle moment for me. Like, I need to become Neo. Like, I don't know how, you know what I'm saying? But this is it. This is the woman, she's telling me I'm supposed to walk out of here. This is what she told me. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And yeah, man. And so I knew I had to get creative with how I would orchestrate it, and then maybe a few years later, it became Unapologetic, which was a creative agency and label for musicians and visual artists. And we started to do things a little bit different, and people started to notice. So it worked out.
But tell us a little bit about that, about the Unapologetic.
Yeah. How did the name come about?
Yeah, man. Well, how did the name come about? Yeah, man. It's definitely a lifelong story, man. It's definitely not like scrolling through a magazine like, that's a cool word, bro. Let's go. Nah. It was definitely, So my dad is from Memphis, 100%. At Duke's family, generations in Memphis.
Okay.
My mom, though. My mom is actually Guyanese. She's born in a country called Guyana, just north of Brazil in South America.
Okay.
And it's a British colony.
Okay.
So she spent the second half of her childhood in England. And from there, she migrated to Canada. And then from Canada, she met my dad in California when he was in the Air Force. I like to say, like, my other half is a very different, very different existence, very different culture, immigrant culture. I'm the first generation American on my mom's side.
Wow.
I'm the American to them. Like, I'm always saying, like, this American.
That was family.
Yeah, man. And so, my mom and dad were divorced.
Okay.
So, in the summer times, I would go and visit my mom. She was either in D.C. or New York. I'm trying to give you guys a glimpse of my familial background.
Okay.
So that way you guys can understand, like, in Memphis in the 90s, we were very different people. Like, when you think about decreased jeans with the Nouveau, with the state flow and all of that, you know what I'm saying? When you think about how that was going down,
I was a part of it.
right? Whereas we were a part of it. We had Mystic Styles and was listening to Player Fly and all of that too.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we were listening to Northeastern music.
Yeah.
We were listening to overseas music. We were listening to everything. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So because we had such a worldly view on things, my mom was from one continent, raised in another, and then had me in another. Like, so we had a very worldly view on things.
Yeah.
Having a worldly view on things in the 90s in Memphis makes you a weird person, bro. Like, you're different. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're different, bro. You hear the way he talk? You sure you from the mountain? Like, you know what I'm saying? He bro kind of weird. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was me and my brother. You know what I'm saying? Our whole existence was just being weird. Like, we knew we were weird. We were different. It was all
not like everybody else. You're not a true Southerner.
We were just, we were different. And we, in the beginning, it was tough because, we wanted to be like everybody. Everybody grows up wanting to be like the people around them.
Yeah, definitely.
And be accepted 100% by the people around them. We were accepted, but there was just always some part of our existence that just felt like other. And so when I came back to Memphis, it was funny. When I came back to Memphis, I remember when I left Memphis, like, I remember DMX and Pete Rock, Soul Survivor, and a few other things had just popped off, and I remember watching like MTV and seeing all that stuff on there.
Yeah.
And I was working at Target at the time, and I remember, I can't remember who was popping, but it was somebody out of Memphis was popping at the same time. And I remember being there with my like CD player that you gotta hold like this. I had a memory. I remember being like this, and I remember somebody being like, "Man, Deuce, what you listening to, bro?" And I was like, "Man, that Pete Rock and some DMX, bro." They was like, "Man, Deuce, man, come on." You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man, won't you be listening to this, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, bro, I do listen to that.
Yeah.
I'm just not listening to that right now.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I got a little bit of that too coming up. I got a little bit of that because I listen to a lot of, like like Redman,
Mhm.
Method Man.
There you go.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people don't know about that. You know, Lords of the Underground.
Woo! Lords of the Underground. Come on, baby.
Yeah, so
Let's
I
go.
listen to a lot of it coming up,
Yeah.
and I had the same thing. I was like, what is that you listening to? It's like, it's music.
It's music.
You know, it's music.
But Memphis, man, Memphis is such a unique place though. Like,
Yeah.
I'm never gonna forget this, bro. Like, you know, I used to go to New York, DC. You know, I had people out in Cali, people out in England. You know, I will never forget this. Like, when Snoop Dogg was big, he was big across the world, right? Like, he was big across the world. No matter where you went, people were talking about Snoop Dogg.
Right.
Except for Memphis. Like, I remember in Memphis, Snoop Dogg was big.
Yeah.
But right next to him was DJ Paul.
Yeah.
A dude who, if you drove an hour that way, they never heard of him.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And so Memphis was this vacuum of like,
It is.
Yeah.
if you was famous like in Memphis,
Yeah.
like people in Memphis treated you like you was famous across the world, even though nobody else knew you.
It always
Like a
been
Memphis rap, like Tommy Wright and these dudes, they might as well have been Method Man. Like, you know, it was this weird dynamic, and I'll never forget that as a kid. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was weird. You know what I'm saying?
But that's true though, like Gangsta Black. I mean, you would think Gangsta Black had a national deal.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's how we treated him. Yeah, it was just their respect, and that's you know, I think that goes to the Memphis mentality though.
That's the culture.
Yeah, the culture.
You know, you think about like how before we had an NBA team,
Right.
the Memphis Tigers
Memphis
players, how they were.
Yeah,
They like pro team.
Okay, so one of the people we work closely with now in doing, you know, my current project, which is the Orange Mound Tower, is Elliot Perry. Right? Elliot Perry he's deeply involved in a lot of the stuff that we're doing.
Right.
And when I first met him,
Yeah.
I was like, fam, he was like, yeah, man, so let's talk. I was like, hold on.
Right,
Oh my God, I gotta let you know, fam.
Yeah.
You was the most famous basketball player.
Yeah.
Like to my grandma,
Yeah.
yo, Jordan could be playing. No, Tigers, like it don't matter. Bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If we was outside, we would be on the cove.
Yeah.
We'd be on the cove hooping.
Yeah. And Tigers will come up.
And the Tigers would come on. My grandma would be
Yeah.
mad if we didn't come in and watch Elliot Perry and David Vaughn.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it was crazy.
That's how it was.
It was.
That's how it was.
Yeah.
It was definitely like
I'm
that.
glad to come back to it. You know, Penny bring that back, that Memphis pride.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's
Becoming a big name.
and he doing it his way too. You know, unapologetic, I guess. So.
Okay, so just to explain that,
Get there.
I wanted to empower people who felt like me.
Okay.
Who felt different. You know, when I came back here, I found that it wasn't just me. There were a lot of people who felt different, and they wanted a place to feel comfortable feeling different. And so for me, I wanted to build something that creatively allowed people to be boldly and unapologetically who they were, and to show it because it existed here. I just don't think that there were as many platforms for it.
Yeah.
But to show Memphis is more diverse than y'all say it is.
Yeah, it is.
It truly is. Whenever we think of somebody from Memphis, we think it is one guy.
Yeah.
But it's so many kinds of people from Memphis. It really is. Yeah.
I experienced that also when I went off to college. You know, the typical Memphis guy, but then you know when I met other people from other places, they always like, you don't seem like you're from Memphis. You know, you so different. You know, you different from most guys. Like I said, I listen to all types of music. You know, I just didn't listen to the Memphis rap or the Southern rap. You know, so I experienced that to see that, to think that everybody, you know, fits this one mold of a Memphis person. You know, so I say, you know, and because a lot of people didn't think, you know, when they met me, they didn't think like, nah, where you from? You from up north or something? I'm like, nah, man, I'm from Memphis. You can't be. These are Memphis people. You don't act like that. So you're not like that.
The thing about that, when people from those communities, or when people from Memphis say like, hey, you know, you're not Memphis enough, or they have that kind of outlook on things, they're doing themselves a disservice because we're always comparing ourselves to cities like Atlanta, Chicago, blah, 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 and we're always saying how Memphis started this, Memphis did that, Memphis is better, blah, blah, blah. Well, in those cities, one of the benefits about those cities is that those cities openly are aware of the fact that they can create a myriad of people, of a variety of people. So you can have Future and JID from the same block, right? And that's nothing unusual. That's nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like Andre 3 Stacks and Young Thug, you know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? Like it's in Atlanta, that's not weird.
No. Yeah,
they understand the diversity.
Or 3 Stacks and Big Boy.
Absolutely. There you go. And the same group.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't make that. But absolutely.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. So you're right. We I think that's kind of our blessing and curse in Memphis. You know, we don't accept new as quick as other cities. You know what I'm saying? It kind of keeps us grounded. Keeps us from getting the wool pulled over our eyes, getting hustled. Yeah. But at the same time, it keeps us from growing and from expanding and really just learning something new from different cultures. Like just even yourself. I mean, you can teach. You can teach things to kids, like you said, like in myself. They grew up right beside you that I never knew, just from you. And what you experienced from your mother and father's side. Sure. And that's more like culture and food and, you know what I'm saying? You know, all those different rich type of things that you, like you said, dark side of your 30s, you start to appreciate, you know what I'm saying? You know, but when you're young, it's just like, I gotta be Memphis, you know what I'm saying?
It's like a fitting thing.
Yeah.
It's just, I think there's just being youthful, you know.
Right.
You're growing up. You want to be accepted by everyone, and you want to be, you want to be with the crowd, you know, or per se, you know, you want everybody to like you. You want, that's all kids. We always do that.
Yeah, I tell it's funny. Somebody was in an interview sometime last year. Somebody said, "Yeah, man, like when you were a kid, man, what gave you the strength to be strong and bold and being different?" I said, "Bro, I had no strength to be strong and bold." Like, I was like, I was trying to be like everybody. I just failed. Yeah. I was just bad. I wasn't like, I'm different and I don't care. I was wearing khakis and trying to, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was trying to, I just couldn't do it. And everybody was like, bro, look at this. You know what I'm saying?
We know, just don't fit the mold. That's good. Yeah, I like that. That chose a great title. Unapologetic. I feel that way. Now that I'm older, I'm just early 40s. I'm 42, so I kind of was right a little bit ahead of you know. So that unapologetic thing, that's kind of like my mindset now. Like, you know, I'm just gonna be me. You know, I've been like that. I've kind of always had that mentality, but you know, again, you still wanted to fit in, but when, like you say, you get on that other side, you start to embrace and appreciate, you know, your differences, you know, and believe it or not, you know, there's other people that, you know, feel the way you feel too, you know. So it's probably that you went through that, you know. Yeah. I kind of can feel you on a lot of that, you know. Yeah. Especially with the music deal, you know. I had one tight homeboy, you know, we kind of enjoyed the other music, the East Coast, the, you know, West Coast, you know, other places. When everybody else was listening to Play or Fly, you know, we listening to, you know, 36 Chambers, you know.
They used to just call, it got to a point where they just called us Wu-Tang. Like, that was just what they called it. They go Wu-Tang, and they go my man Jeff, like, that's it.
So that was the deal though, man.
Yeah, so how did that, all of that, you know, shape your music style? You know, how did it come to play?
Man, funny story. My dad, he used to listen to jazz so much. You know, every time he was driving around, he would play jazz. You know, and I fell in love with like the upright, like the upright bass and like the kind of approach to like keys and chords and stuff that you would hear in jazz, which was very unorthodox, right? And it's funny because like the roots of jazz is why I fell in love with Tribe Called Quest and like Daylight and all of that, because it was just jazz. And even when you listen to like some of the harder East Coast, like Onyx and all this, it was just a lot of horns in it and a lot of, even when you listen to like, here we go, yo, like Scenario, that's like jazz, you know what I'm saying? And like, I remember, maybe like a few years back, I was talking to my dad and I was like, Dad, man, like, yo, your love for jazz, like it just really inspired me. And he was just like, He was like, when was I playing jazz? And I was like, Dad, what are you talking about? Every time we got in the car, we were just playing jazz. Like every time. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, I was just playing that because Memphis drivers is crazy. I started calling me down. I was like, damn. I know, so it's funny. He was like, and it's true, he is very much like a soul and, funk kind of person. Like, he was definitely, into like very classic R&B and, all that stuff or whatever. But it was just funny to hear from him that, like, he predominantly listened to jazz to deal with Memphis drivers.
Wow.
And him doing that influenced me to like develop this whole style of music that is the foundation of everything I've ever done. So
this guy unintentionally exposed you to something. Wow. That's amazing, man. That's funny and all in one. He uses it. He'll stay calm.
Hilarious. And now, that was like the foundation of my approach to musicality in the beginning. It hurt and helped a lot because it helped because it gave me a sound. It hurt because, jazz breaks a lot of pop and mainstream rules. And so when you're trying to establish yourself as a producer and you're hitting minor sevenths and doing this crazy stuff, it's like, hey man, calm that down. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like 3 notes and that's it. So it can really, it can hurt your ability to appeal right down the middle. But I've never been good at appealing right down the middle, so I just found my own niche. And when I got to New York, luckily, right at the same time was the rise of Pharrell, right? And then eventually Kanye, and but specifically Pharrell, where Pharrell, like, he grew up on the same stuff I grew up on. So he loves jazz. He loves minor sevenths and made, you know what I'm saying? Like all that stuff. You can hear that. That's jazz. That's all jazz. You know what I'm saying? And so once he popped off, then it was like everybody loved that sound. It was like, man, who do you guys know? That kid. You know what I'm saying? And, it kind of worked out.
Time.
Time is everything. So what do you consider your big break or?
Probably interning at Quad and then, I'm an extreme guy, you know what I'm saying? So, I interned at Quad. I think I was the only intern there who didn't go to Full Sail or SAE or some music, program. I'm gonna skip that story because that is a crazy story of how I got into that internship. But man, very much God landed me in that internship. There was no luck involved. That was God. That was him saying, "Hey, you be over there." You know. So I got that internship, and I think one day I was sweeping because the first half of the internship is just you're just showing that you deserve to be there.
Gotcha.
Right, and so nobody's in there like, "Hey son, so let me show you how to EQ this and that." No, first it's all like, did you sweep the bathroom? Like, you know what I'm saying? That's it. That's the extent of your situation. So I'm on the main floor and I'm
Just
sweeping.
if you really want to be there.
That's it. Because it's literally thousands of resumes on their desk. People to come from all across the world to come and learn and intern at Quad Studios. And so for me, some kid from the Mound to be there who didn't go to no audio school, man, that was extremely rare.
Testimony.
So I was there, and I was there sweeping. And here's the thing: is like I am shamelessly obsessed with the things that I love to do. I don't hide it. I don't aim to appear normal. I don't aim for balance. I think being well-rounded is overrated. And I'm not saying that one shouldn't aim to be well-rounded. I am just saying some of us are not supposed to be. Some of us, we know what we're here to do. And it's clear that God has given you this thing to do. Right? And when that's the case, you don't be over there playing the cello, bro. You do what you are here to do. Right? You know what I'm saying? When God told Moses and Abraham what to do, they weren't like, all right, it's Friday, let me go and do this. It was like, this is what you're here to do. And so for me, I'm an extreme guy. So I love to make beats. I make mad beats. I love to make beats. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows that about me. Everybody. There's no, because, if you would have asked me back then, hey man, you trying to go to the movie? Like, I would be offended by that. What? I ain't going to no movie? I'm in the studio, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, it radiated off of me that I was like dedicated to music at that level.
Yeah, the mama mentality sound like.
Bro, 100%. I'm gonna skip that. Kobe told this story it's 100% me. I gotta say it now. Kobe was doing this interview a couple years ago. He was doing this interview, and I saw this interview, and I was like, bro, that's me so much. Kobe said there was this guy interviewing him. He said, yo man, I be seeing all the Lakers and all the NBA players all throughout LA, through the club, the bar, the restaurant. He was like, but Kobe, every time I see you, it's at Staples. I ain't never seen you nowhere else but the basketball court. And he was like, how do you do that, man? Like, he was like, you don't go out to eat? Kobe said, I do go out to eat, bro. He was like, but like, I don't want y'all to know that. Kobe was like, I want when y'all get on the court with me to know y'all was out having fun and I was here. You know what I'm saying? And when he said that, I was like, oh, I knew I wasn't crazy. I knew it. This is totally the way I think. Like, I don't, it's a mental thing with me. I'm such a disciplined person. Anyway, I was so that like everybody at Quad knew, like, that kid, like, that's the kid, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, one day this guy comes in from the biggest publishing company in Manhattan, one called The Wolf Music. And he comes in and he's like talking to him about booking some sessions and recording some stuff and a whole bunch of other things. And he says, hey, quick question. You guys know like a really talented, young guy who would be down to like make some custom stuff for us, and we can give him some money, we can pay him some stuff or whatever, but it would really be based off of what he can do, and he would have to prove himself. But like, we're really just looking for young new talent because we want to build up our hip hop library. And he was at the front desk saying that. And it's the person at the front desk, there's the owner, there's 2 techs, Vince and Pete. Yeah. There's another assistant over here, and then there's me sweeping. Yeah. Right? Everybody in that room was like, this guy. The kid you're looking for is him. Like, you know, the owner was like, yep, it's him. That's the kid you're looking for. And I'm sweeping like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, all right, cool. You know, and he comes over and starts talking to me. I'm nervous because, hey man, you want me to stop sweeping? Hey bro, hey, don't get on me if I stop sweeping. Like, you know, I worked really hard to get here, bro. Please don't mess this up. You know? And then the owner, he's over here. He's like, it's all good, it's all good. So I'm talking to this guy, and he's like, yeah man, like here's my card. Like, you know, what's your email address? And I give him my email address. He's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna email you some stuff. We're looking to build our library up. He was just like, you know, so you make beats and stuff? I was like, yeah. He's like, yeah, man, well, like, you know, we're looking for a lot of stuff, man. So the more you got, the better, you know. At this point, I literally had thousands of beats. Wow. Because I do this, like, I'm telling you, just like, I was out at Olive Garden, bro. I was in the studio. Like, you know, I was ready. Yeah. So when this dude finally emails me, he's like, yeah, man, send some stuff through. I remember looking at my brother like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I dumped so much into this online folder zip. And I remember I uploaded that, because I put hundreds of beats into this thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I was like, there's no way this dude's not gonna find what he's looking for. Right. There's no way. Gave it to him. And I just remember like a few days later, this man being like, we have never received this much music in one time, you know what I'm saying? And like, you know, some of that music went on to like be like a Burger King commercial. I did some music for the Olympics. Wow. And so it was a lot of stuff on like TV and stuff like that. So I did Madden, I did DC Shoes, did the news, I did some stuff for Spanish TV, Telemundo. Some of that stuff I'm still making money off of, man, because it was license and sync stuff. So it was just about getting royalties over time. You know, and so the funny thing about it was I was still in college, right? So I was still finishing up my last year and a half of college. So by the time I got out of college, I had enough money stacked to like choose my path. Wow. I had about 16 G's locked in, and I was like, all right, bet, like, I ain't got to just go out here and get a random job. Let me see if I can figure it out to how to build something that I want to, a career, you know? And so that's what I did, man. I got out of school, took that money, but more specifically, took the consistency of that money and started to take risks. Take bigger risks. I started to meet people who were doing this and doing that. I started to fly and be in situations with big artists and, you know, from LA to New York and be playing beats and blah, blah, blah. And that's pretty much when everything changed.
Wow. I listened to one of your previous interviews that you did, and heard you spoke about, I think you was kind of telling your story. You know, from you was kind of telling your story, and you did mention Busta Rhymes.
Oh yeah. It's a game-changing moment for sure.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm interested to know, because I'm a big Busta fan. So I'm interested to know, you know, how was that moment? Like, was it surreal?
You know? Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, man, I guess I can keep it real, man. I'm not trying to do anything. Like, let's just keep it real. All right, so, okay, so first of all, it absolutely was surreal, man. I brought up scenario earlier. We idolized Busta Rhymes, just, you know, as a kid, man, because he was the epitome of like, this guy is different. Like, he was different. Hoo-ha and all that stuff came out, the videos, and it was just
animated
crazy.
And all that. It was crazy.
And I remember just being in awe of his energy and his ability, but then his technicality, like even his speed, like it was just, that dude was born to rap. Like who gets a voice like that? Like that's crazy, you know. But then my man Randy, big shout out Randy. He's the guy who helped me get into choir in the first place. He was an assistant. He was Busta Rhymes' engineer. Okay. for tour.
Yeah.
And so anytime Busta would come to New York, he would come through Quad. And Randy was my guy, so I would get a chance to rock with him. And then when Randy couldn't be there, he would just set me up to like hold him down in a recording session or whatever. And there was a few times when Busta Rhymes would like, yeah, we can keep all that. Busta Rhymes was, you know, variety of substances, you know what I mean? You know, so it's very studio culture, man.
Yeah.
I never,
Yeah.
I can 100% say, man, you might not meet a guy who has led a cleaner life than you. But you know, I've seen it all. And
I can imagine studio. I've heard a lot of studio
I've
stories.
seen it all, man. All the way from briefcases chained to your wrist, all the way to anyway. So Busta Rhymes, he's there, man, and you know, we're running this session, and I'm there, and we're getting a chance to get him some beats, and he's trying stuff out. He actually dropped a couple tracks to a few of my joints. It's just, you know, Busta Rhymes is just the most. He probably has the largest catalog of music that was never released, maybe of anybody. He's in the studio so much, and he's so good at what he does that it doesn't take much for him to do a song. You know, so he just creates a lot. Anyway, one night we're in there, man, and all right, so full disclosure, man. He can be a bit of a pain. He can be very self-centered and very megalomaniac-ish. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, he's a superstar, so you know, I'm speaking from outside. I ain't never been in that building, but you know, but he can definitely be that at times. But this particular evening, we were there. He was on some substances or whatever. And I think for some, I used to have this huge afro, and he thought I was a rapper. I don't know why he thought I was clearly an I have no explanation for that. All my before I was IMAKEMADBEATS, I was Demo.
Okay.
So you know, everybody called me Nemo, and Nemo. He was. If you want to make it in this industry, you gotta know who you are, what you are, and you gotta break the knob, turning that up. You know, and you know that has a lot to do with me naming it Unapologetic, and for me building this company was the fact that like my ideas about being different were so well supported by a legend. Like he was saying, you being different is your superpower. Like the difference between you and other people who are different are whether or not you're going to be ashamed of it or whether or not you're going to empower it. You know. And so I again, I was still in college, man. So I literally got done with a session with Busta Rhymes at like 4:30 a.m. in the morning. I took the Long Island Railroad back to Long Island, and it was such a weird dichotomy of a life because I'm in the studio with Busta Rhymes and like execs from whatever labels and some dude with a chain on that costs like the price of my dad's house. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm in there, and then I get on the train and I'm in my dorm. And this dude's like playing Monopoly, Park Place, and I'm just like, you know what I'm saying?
C major.